Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode.
Ladies and
Of the Rich by Monday podcast. I'm your host, Jared Wilkins, aka the Google grad,
and I'm Dorance Creighton.
and this is episode 2.
Season 2.
Season 2, yeah. Episode 2, season 2. Welcome back. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. All that good stuff.
All those YouTube things you're supposed to say.
Yeah. So, what's going on, man? Besides the heat.
Man, I was just going through the photos from the photo shoot and some premium pictures. You can tell we're very much out of practice just based on how many we took. I think, for me, for sure, nervous jitters just getting behind the camera again on that level. Because usually I've just been using the camera that we have for this podcast, but I bought it at least a year and a half ago, but really haven't shot too many stills. So it was nice. It was nice getting back in there and taking some photos. You got behind the camera. Mo, special guest, came in, and some will, some won't. He came in and took our group photos, which, we really needed that because I forgot my tripod. So so it's one of those things where it was a good run. We were able to make some lists of what we need next time. So it's a good space. It's a good space. So I was happy about that. That was fun.
I don't even know if I had one. I don't even know if I have a tripod. Well, I do. I have one for the light, but we wouldn't. Well, yeah, we would be able to use the light because they have other ones there. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I have one.
Yeah. I have the tripod we bought when we were like doing RMG photo years ago. The same tripod. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we got it. We got equipment. Got real life equipment.
I was listening to last week's episode, because usually I listen to it at the end of every night. So I'll after we record, I'll edit or whatever, or change whatever needs to change and get it all together. Mm-hmm. And I usually run it that night, and then I'll run it the next day, if I'm in the car or something. But I remember running it back, I don't think I did it that. I think I did it the next day. I listened to it the next day in the car, and I remember hearing it, and I was like, man, I think this shit low key whack. And then an hour later, everybody was like, "Yo, man, we love the episode."
Man, so I think
you know what? I need to get out my own way.
Yeah, for sure. That's not one reason I don't listen to them back. I just don't like to see me on camera and listen to me. Mm-hmm. I said it once, and I'm good with that. And I know we talked about it on the first episode, but I remember I was saying how one of the podcasts I watch, he doesn't watch himself either. His show is actually Bill Maher. And he's been in show business for 20, 30 years or whatever. But on his podcast, he actually has them print out a script or what is it? Not a script, but
transcripts.
A transcript, yeah. And then he'll just read it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So I might send a video out and have somebody do that, on Fiverr or something.
You could probably
just read it back
from literally from the file or from your what's it called? I'm sure you could do it from the file.
The keyword is you can do it, and I don't want to. I want to do as less as possible.
Look, I'm the biggest. I'm the biggest. I champion
do it yourself.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But
you're also a big do it yourselfer.
Because when you got to pay people, I don't want to pay somebody and then have to argue about why it's wrong. And then because what happens is you pay somebody, it's wrong, and then you have to tell them how to fix it. And it's if I had to fix it, if I had to learn how to tell you it was wrong,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should have just did it.
yeah. I'm going through that now on some marketing I'm doing. I'm wrapping the truck, and I'm just like the first design. I'm like, nah, this ain't it. I'm like, and I'm just like, I just give people leeway to say, he's like, trust me, I'm gonna make it good. And I'm like, got the first thing, I'm like, this ain't it. So I took like maybe 2 weeks to kind of come up with a few different designs and sent that to him. And you're right, it still wasn't done. And instead of just, you know, going off in the way I was like, just gave a little more grace to just figure it out. But you're right, that's the part where when you're used to doing things yourself a certain way and directing people, and this is how you should do it. Yeah, it sucks. It sucks having somebody just take on the whole thing, just do it themselves. But this is an
And do it
easy
wrong
task.
though. No,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
do
but that's what I'm
it.
saying.
Yeah, do it
Do
wrong
it
and
wrong.
bad. You got to give people like
Yeah.
super easy tasks. Like if I say, "Here's the video," and type out the words we're saying, like you met. I mean, I guess you could mess that up. I mean, you can misspell words and miss words, and yeah, you're right. But I
Yeah,
mean,
but
it's. I guess this is
if
what that's the
if I'm gonna
drawback
pay
of
you for
doing
that,
not
if
doing it yourself.
I feel like if I'm gonna pay you for that though, like I could to quote Tyler Perry, I could do bad all by
Mm,
myself.
right, right. Yeah, you're
Right.
right.
So
You're right.
so there's programs that I can upload a file and it will take all the words and it'll take all everything we said and turn it into words. Now, of
Right.
course, some of the words will be wrong because we said them wrong, or we
Yeah.
talk funny, whatever,
Right.
right?
Right.
So then I have to go through and change them. So I can do that on my own. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm gonna pay you to do something along those lines, it's like it should be better than the stuff I can do on my own.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. I agree with that. Maybe I may try to do something. I'm not gonna put too much pressure on myself though.
No, I mean you just gotta,
uh,
just you just gotta try. Just try. If you
yeah.
like, there's certain things that I kind of I won't say refuse, but there's a lot of things where like I know it'll take me too long to like
Hmm.
get to that point to like learn it in that way, so I don't even
Yeah.
attempt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stuff like that I'll pay for.
Yeah. Because I mean, I'm getting back into my editing, video editing. I think I want to spend more time focused on that, like learning how to do that again. Um, learn how to shoot. Well, I know how to shoot composition and stuff like that, but just
Hmm.
getting back to shooting and then editing. Um, I mean, my first editing experience was like on a Sony cam. We
Yeah,
had
I
Sony cam.
remember.
We had the 30-minute compact disc.
Hmm.
So yeah, I remember buying like an editing software from like Best Buy or something for like $50 and using it. It was trash, but we made it work. So yeah, so getting back to stuff like that, like I don't know, limiting the things I need to do, you know, and doing the things that's most important, and that type of thing.
Well,
But anyway,
I seen a clip that you posted though. About it was from what's his name? He's like a developer.
hmm
Um, is it
uh,
RD or Peebles?
peoples, yeah,
Yeah.
hmm
I seen the clip that you posted from him, and he talked about something that we've kind of talked about as well, like how
right, right,
if you only do business with people you like, you'll be broke.
yeah,
But I was thinking today because somebody asked me if I would go to. So there's a popular financial literacy platform, and they have like
uh,
an event every year, or I don't know how often, but I think it's once a year,
hmm
and it's like this huge event. They have entertainers come out, different vendors and whatnot.
hmm
And so they was like, "Yo, would you guys ever consider doing something like that?" And I was like not on our own, but like
Like being
if
there,
they like being there, yeah. Like if they
like
invited you,
like
would
at a
you
booth or
go?
something.
Or like a speaker,
Okay, okay,
either or.
yeah.
And I was like,
I'm
nah.
uh, my first my first thought is I'm not initially excited about that at all.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think so.
because it's a guy who's been sending us DMs on Rich by Monday, and he's like uh I don't know what he does, but I started looking at the followers and stuff he had, and it was basically all podcast based, and it was like
Yeah, he's
black
like a
podcasters and stuff like that,
yeah. I talked to him.
and I was just like then I start thinking like, dang, I guess there are other people who are doing this, and I'm sure there's a um, a tribe and family of that, and I was just like, I didn't have wants and feelings of doing that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yet, I guess if growing is the goal, I guess it's important to go do those type of things. Um, I'm not there yet. To be 100, I'm just not there. I'm not there to be. I don't know. I'm just not there yet. I would say that.
I
Even though I
talked to him.
know what we're doing is what uh, could easily fit in that type of environment. Um, I don't know. I don't know why the apprehension is there, but it is. So maybe I'll figure that out later.
Yeah, but I feel like just because we're doing that doesn't mean we have to do it in that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. It's like, why do I have to do it the same way everybody else does it, or the same way you do it? Because this is how you know it to be done, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? I talked to him for a minute though, like just kind of back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
He did present like a good question when I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he was like, what's the what did he say? What's the word he used? It's like, what was the selfish goal for the
Wait. What?
podcast or
For
whatever?
some groundwork. I mean, just let's establish what we're talking about. I know we just kind of
Oh,
start talking.
I'll say his name because I don't have a problem saying his name. I don't. He doesn't seem to be a idiot. So there was a guy who reached out to us, and let me find his name. Let me see. Yeah. So his name is so a guy named Jonathan Jones. I guess he's a podcast mentor,
Okay.
like a podcast coach. So he reached out and he sent the voice note and was like, basically just giving, saying much respect. I like you guys are doing, keep it up. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just kind of responded and just a way to like keep dialogue going.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked about what some of our goals were, and then ultimately he asked like what was the goal of the podcast, like the selfish
Mm-hmm.
goal. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't responded to that yet because I had to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, well, I don't think for me it was never a thing of like this is the thing I'm gonna do to make us $8 million or whatever.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I think, like you said, like you're not there yet. I think that's where the disconnect is potentially for us because they're running this like this is the thing, this is the home run, this is the
Yeah. It's
business,
the whole play. Right.
and
Right.
yeah,
Right.
and then for us it's like, oh, it's just something we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kind of like it that way. And I think even in terms of just uh, look and branding, that's mostly up to you and your efforts because you're very particular in things. So it looked like some shit, some real shit, and then it is some real shit. But it's just I think when you present it as like when you do things a certain way, and it's like, all right, well, I only know one way to do things, and it's just the correct way, or the best of my ability way.
Hmm.
And I guess when you project that, people are like, okay, I mean, you look like you might have something there, or you look like you're really taking this serious. So I got these serious questions for you, and that just makes sense.
Yeah, I get
But
it.
I don't know. You want to answer the question? I guess you said you got some time to think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
because I hadn't really I had to think about it because I wanted to go back to like what the whole point we even kind of started, which was like during the time during the time that we started this, there was like this whole thing. It was like a tidal wave of like, you know information for sale.
mm-hmm.
And I think because of what we did for a living, or what we do for a living, we had insight into what it actually takes to attain what these people were selling.
Right.
you know and so it was like a way to kind of reassure people of, you don't have to do that, like don't fall for the okey doke, we've been there before,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
um
And even I remember in the beginning episodes, it was like more like a. I remember referencing like it's kind of like a time capsule, like something to figure out how I thought at that time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
something for the kids to they can listen to and kind of figure out how their father thought, that type of thing, and reasoned
Yeah,
and
that too.
those type of
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's still a part of it. Um, uh, Less so because I don't know. I always had this notion of leaving stuff to the kids and what they would be interested in. And it just includes all kind of things that like books and
Yeah.
thinking like I'm collecting these books because it's things I'm interested in, but maybe the kids might also be interested in, might not be available. Um, when Jeff Bezos takes everything over, maybe he just
Mm-hmm.
might just not give you a book if you actually try to order it. So I don't know, but I start thinking about leaving things to them, and one day I just came to the realization that they just might not be interested in those things at all. They might
Mm-hmm.
not be interested in taking on the business or running the business or taking on the books or all the information I left. They might just say, I'm not interested in listening to that podcast you did 30 years ago. you
Yeah, I
know?
know. Yeah,
So
that's
I
true.
had to stop. I had to stop trying to put all my, um, I guess uh, my thoughts of passing things down onto them, and then just focusing more
Mm-hmm.
on why I want to do this and my thoughts and or basically just focus on why I want to do this and not just always say it's for the kids or for the generational wealth, or for the next generation. They just might not be interested,
I
you know.
I think I'm kind of in that same boat because I'm always like, let's do this. Like I'm self motivated, but I'm not like motivated for self.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not really one to be like, oh, I want to do this for me. It just feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe it's also a thing of like maybe it's amplified more now because like we actually have kids,
Right, right.
but I'm not really I'm just not really like that. So I got to dig more into that component of it. And it's like, well, should we be just doing it like like a business? Because Bloomberg just put an article out about something that we actually talked about last season,
Mm-hmm.
but podcast Payola
Okay.
and how people are paying upwards of $50,000 to be on different podcasts.
Oh, to be a guest on
Yeah.
certain podcasts. And,
Hmm.
yeah, that's
So I mean,
so it's always something.
but
It's
is
always a
that is
shortcut,
that is that so I heard two sides to that. I think where it gets like scammy is when is if the person that's there is like selling something and you're kind of in on it too, but you don't let people know that.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, that's
You know.
what is that called? Uh, I mean, besides scam or manipulative or it's a term for that where it's a I don't know. It's basically like one of those run back to the room things where I'm going to present
Hmm.
this thing to you for free, and I'm so gracious and giving you things for free. But if you look behind you, there's a table set up, and if you want the DVDs and the trainings, you can run to the back of the room and get that. That's when people would pitch these things and hotels like the DoubleTree and stuff like that that had some type of event center. Then you have a speaker and they say and the same thing and the DoubleTree is I guess you pay for the space and you can say whatever
Double
you want.
tree.
So they kind of yeah.
What is it about the double tree? Like,
Well, that's kind of where I remember them being like
yeah.
at. I mean, it's not just them. It's any hotel that has some type of event center or speaking engagement you can rent out for an evening and pitch your goods. Um,
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I brought up earlier. It's
yeah.
like, well, is that this? Because now it's like a whole thing. Like it's a whole event now. So like, and I think the reason why I don't say the reason. One of the reasons why um, that's kind of like icky to me is because I
Mm-hmm.
know just my insight into events. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well,
What
I
you
know
mean?
how the I know how the business runs, right? I know the goal of the business is to make profit, right?
Right.
So even if you are specifically going back to the question that I brought up earlier about would you be a guest or a speaker at one of these events?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, well, the purpose of the event is to make money,
Right.
right? So it's
So
it's
you,
not to do it's not whatever the message is they're trying to get across. That's not the purpose of the event.
got you.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the purpose of
Yeah.
the event is to make money, and you pay guests to come because you know people will pay a premium to see this
Mm-hmm.
guest.
Right.
So,
Right.
um,
This is
and
basically
it
just
gets
it's
it
ticket
gets
sales.
yeah, that's what it
It,
is. You
it, it's
selling
it's it's ticket selling to this event, and people
yes,
just
one
selling
hundred
selling
percent.
hope. They selling hope that you would take this information and apply it to your life, and then we just know that there's a high percentage of people who just don't. Um, and that's just the game. It's just the game. Um,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I won't say there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm not mad at anybody for doing that. It's just when you understand, like it's just I don't want to be a part of that
well,
because
I also don't believe that. I feel like I don't know enough information to make somebody pay a $500 ticket, and it's not because of like um, an
well, trust me, you
insecurity in
do.
my knowledge, but
Trust
it's
me.
just like I don't know. It's one of those things where I just I just don't I don't feel like that's my role maybe right now. And it's never been a goal to be like I'm going to attain all this knowledge so I can speak and then consult. And um,
Yeah,
I've never seen it laid out that way on my timeline, and I don't see that changing just because it makes money.
yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Somebody might
Well,
run this back and
well,
be like, "Yeah, you said this
I could tell
10 years
you,
ago."
I could tell you like there's guys who made millions of dollars by telling people to buy Tesla for 2 years.
Right, right.
So to say like the issue is that you can. It's just that again, it's the morality thing. It's like, oh well, why would I do that? You know. But um, but yeah. Anyway, I going back to that is what I meant. What I meant when I asked that is like I think that's part of it because it's all everything is for sale.
Hmm.
Like you know everything that you see is for sale, and there's people in the room who either are ignorant to that or um just don't want to believe it. But
Yeah, I mean, but if you're
if we didn't if it hmm
I was gonna say if you're a good capitalist, you should be selling and purchasing things um, for the economy.
all right, what was you saying?
I was just saying, as a good capitalist, you should be. I guess we should be selling and buying things simultaneously. Um, we should have something to sell, and we should keep purchasing to keep the economy going.
Yeah, I mean
If you're really building
it's
the system, I mean, we should be playing both sides technically. Um,
not
I
if
don't
there's
know.
nothing to buy though. Like there it's a cycle. Like there's times when you buy, there's times when you sell, and there's times when you might be able to do both.
Yeah,
Right now, I don't think there's very much value to actually pick up. To be honest, like there just isn't really much value in terms of like not in stuff. I've learned more from free stuff than anything I could have paid for. Because
you know why I
when
think that
you
is.
why
I think when you pay for something, people like believe it already has like an intrinsic value of like I pay for this, so it's already like worth more. Anything
mm-hmm.
free is worth less. It's like you can easily go thrift some books that has all type of information on investing, um, real estate, whatever you're interested in, and read those books and still soak up the knowledge. But if somebody packages everything together and sells it for $5.99, it just feels like there's a like psychologically it feels like it's a easy road and timeline to that success, rather than you trying to pick from here and there and then building your own knowledge and using it and putting it into motion. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. I get it. The prepackaged everything. I mean, it's like you know you can go make a salad. You know all the ingredients of what goes in a salad you like, but you still buy the prepaid or the pre-made ones for because you know it's less effort. It's less effort, and you get a
It's
similar
more
result.
convenient.
So yeah, it's convenient for
Well,
you.
you
So
you you get well depending on what the result is, but I always say to keep it simple, you get the same result because if you were hungry, you got to eat.
right,
Now
yeah,
you,
one
you
hundred,
could you could argue the
yeah,
differences in
100%.
calories and macros and carbs and all that kind of stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, like you were hungry, you got to eat. You just didn't prepare the food. Um, I think the difference is when like it's packaged, but you don't get the same result.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you don't get any results. You just got the package.
Right, right. Now you're ruining the environment by all this extra plastic that you buy.
And it's just, but that's just how things are now. Like people, I think the constant like being plugged in, doing the same thing. That's just something that like people would rather be a part of something rather than to have something that they can call their own or build something on their
Yeah,
own. It's just like
it's tough
the
though.
whole AMC thing. The whole AMC thing that's going on right now. Do you know about that? The
Uh-uh.
so you remember what happened with AMC during the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
And
like blew
how
up. Everybody
okay.
bought.
So the CEO of the company, right? So let me just I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but basically they're not allowed. So the shareholders voted no for them to dilute, like to add more shares.
Mm-hmm.
So for people who don't know, right, this is why stock prices are irrelevant, right? You have to look at the total cost or the total value of the company because companies can sell more shares, and that's called dilution, meaning you own less of the profit, you know, today or tomorrow when they dilute than you did today. So if I had a company that's worth $1 million and there's 10,000 shares, each share would cost $100. But if they sell another 10,000 shares, my shares would not be worth, you know, $50.
Explain it in the pizza analogy, so you don't get too caught up on numbers.
Um, well, if you have it would be if you had a pizza, if you had it, but that's kind of like talking about the difference between like a stock split and dilution. So a
Mm-hmm.
stock split would be if 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 we had a slice of pizza and I cut it in half, sure there are two slices here, but it's two pieces of one slice. Dilution would be I bring a whole nother pizza, right? So what AMC is doing is because they're not allowed to, and they could word it however they want to word it, but it's literally dilution. They're not allowed to offer more shares.
Mm-hmm.
Companies do this when their stock price is high and they know people will buy it because nobody pays attention to market caps. Um,
And
all
this
they
is
care
not
about is
illegal.
no, it's not illegal. It's smart business. It's like, hey, these guys are buying our share price
Let's create some
at
more
eight
product for them
times
to buy.
exactly. That's all it is, right?
That just sounds illegal.
Ultimately,
But
ultimately diluting you. Like if you were a shareholder of Dorance LLC or Creighton
right,
Inc. Right, and you were
right.
on the stock exchange and you needed some capital, and you thought your share price or your shares were overvalued at the moment, you can offer more to the bank, and the bank will offload them to retail because there's obviously a demand for it. We're paying more than it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
so they'll continue to dilute you, and that's another way for them to get money, right? So what
So
AMC
we
is gonna do?
it sound like we need
Go
a
ahead.
stock. We
No,
need
we
a
gotta go
stock.
public. I'm telling you, we need to go public, bro. Like it's
Mm.
I've been that has to happen.
You
Um,
have to go public.
you have to. First of all, there's a I'll say that next because this is gonna blow your mind. At the next thing I say, but so AMC for every shareholder, right? They're gonna issue instead of issuing a cash dividend, they're gonna issue you one share of like preferred stock. They call it AMC preferred equity,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what is that acronym? AMC preferred equity.
AMC P E.
So AMC preferred equity. What are the first letters of each one of those?
Yeah, AMC
A,
PE.
it'd be APE, right?
Mm-hmm.
So ape.
Oh, okay. You trying to say they calling them monkeys, huh?
Well, they are called
Monkey
the
see,
monkeys,
monkey do.
but
Monkey see,
they
monkey do.
they're called apes though because that's the lingo in like the Reddit forum.
Uh,
They call each other apes.
oh.
So
So
now
what? I
you're
mean,
getting
why?
one. That's I don't know.
I
Just
mean, it's
people
interesting
who are.
because you just never know why it's that. It's just what it is.
That's just the lingo. So they attach
Yeah.
themselves to the lingo, and they're gonna offer one share of preferred equity for each share that you own. It's a 1-to-1, right? And they'll
Mm-hmm.
trade. They'll trade on the New York Stock Exchange. Um, but I think they're not optionable and something else. There's like some rules. But basically, right, because they can't sell any more shares of AMC, they said, okay, we'll just make another one. We'll
And
give
put it
you
under
another
a
one
different name.
for the
So
same, like, for the same amount that we need. And then,
this is wild.
and we'll give it to you and you're going to buy it. Because AMC to the moon. And
um,
those shares, right? He can dilute those as much as he wants because there's no rules there.
the
So
ape side of it.
he can sell as many shares as he wants. If he wants to sell another 5 billion shares tomorrow or the day after that it lists, he can do that.
So what? So why?
It's free capital. That's all it is. It's free. Like the companies need the
So
money. This is why like interest rates and all that stuff is important because if they can't borrow money and they don't have cash because they're growth stocks, they don't have cash. So if they can't borrow cheap money, then the only way they can get money or equity is to sell more shares.
mm,
That's how they dilute you. Tesla's diluted its owners 100%, like 120% over the last 10 years because they need the money. But it doesn't matter because people see their stock price going up. So they think, oh, this is good. But if you own 10% of the company 10 years ago, you now own less than 1%. And it
yeah.
doesn't seem like a big deal to like retail, of course, because they're like, well, I own point whatever. But think about it from the perspective of like if you were in those shoes in technical difficulties. But I was just saying if you put yourself in that situation where you were you own 10% of the profits or the company, so you're entitled to 10% of the profits, and then they go and sell more shares, diluting you, and now you're entitled to less than 1% of the profits,
Yeah.
just like in
I
the Facebook movie.
yeah. Yeah, I know. Then he sued him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I just think so. I think on one side, I mean, we know why the company does it, just to make more money. But on the other side, why do you think people? Is it why do they do it? Is it some people just want to be part of a movement, like let's say the ape movement, and then do others? Are they just kind of monkey see, monkey do, and they're jumping in hoping they can make a quick buck too?
Yeah, I mean, because there were so it. I think all of last year there was 300 billion dollars removed from the market,
Mm-hmm.
like institutional money, right? Um, I think it's 300 billion. I can look right now and double check. Yeah,
So it
well,
sounds like
it's like
institutional money they got out and probably got into something more stable.
well, rates are going up. You buy bonds and leverage bonds, all
Right.
that kind of shit, right? But there's so many retail investors, people who are just playing the game because of COVID. It's like, oh well, I'm just in. I'm just in. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if the company makes money.
Right,
I
right.
seen a commercial for it, so I'm gonna buy it. That kind of thing.
So I mean, where are we going? Where are we going as a culture? Are we just along for the ride? Do we just tap into what makes money? What do you do as a an onlooker at these things? You notice they're happening. What's what do you do? Do you just notice it and just say, "Oh, this is absurd," or do you throw
Well,
in? Are
you
you throwing
definitely
your
say
own
this
money,
is
or
you definitely say this is absurd,
like what
but
do you
you
do?
don't. There isn't much for you to
What's
do
what's what's the
because
resolution?
there is no resolution because people want to lose. They want to do things like you said, right? They want to be together. So they don't care if it's a
Mm,
win or a loss. They just want to be together. So if we
yeah,
lose together, I lost with 10,000 other people in this
yeah.
scenario, and we can be mad together in Facebook comments about how everything's rigged or whatever.
Maybe it's just something to
You know.
believe in. See, the internet is interesting because you can manufacture anything for people just to attach onto and
Hmm.
want to be a part of. I was thinking about just have you heard of little Mikaila, an online AI influencer?
I've seen. Is that what that is? Like I've seen like an ad on Instagram, and it's like I'm an AI, and it's like shut up. No, you're not.
So
Like,
it's this is an actual a. Not say it's not really artificial. Well, I guess it is artificial intelligence, but a company actually made a person. It's not a real person. But they made this person in the computer to look like people, what people would resonate with. So they made a girl. She has freckles, gap tooth, and she's forever 19, and she's trendy and she's doing things. If you
so
go to the
she's fake.
Instagram, 100% fake person, made up person, but she has a popping Instagram. I mean, like hundreds of thousands of views. I think she got like 3 million followers,
I'm gonna look this up
and
right now.
it's an actual um, it's a computer made human. It's a picture of a human, but no other human that ever existed. They made one, but it's a serious thing because this AI, it has actual brand deals. So a brand can actually come up to them and say, "Hey, I want Mikaila to wear my clothing." They can make digital clothing for it, put it on, and post it. Like it got she has a song out. The AI has a song out. So to that point, and then I was gonna say like I don't understand people who are following, but I followed her. I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta I gotta watch this. I gotta see what's going on.
I don't
Um,
understand why people are following her as
yeah,
I
I'm
hit the
one of
follow
her
button.
3 million followers. Um, but it's just it for me. It's just so interesting when you talk about because I'm very apprehensive of putting myself out there. I do it of being the face of it, and you always think about cancel culture and that, and I'll go into my thoughts on that later. Um, which I don't give a shit. That's the short of it. But what if you just had an ability to actually create something that the market wanted, and they would hold on to, and then you can actually profit from it? So what's the morality in that? In creating this person that people want to see, and they are attached to, and then selling that thing that they like. So I mean, it's
I
kind
don't
of
think there's an issue with that because if you created it, you made it up, and then you sold it. Now, if somebody believes it's real, then that's and like jumps off a bridge because they can't marry her or something. Like that's kind of
I
like,
mean,
well, that's their bad.
it really just depends on what reality you choose. If you choose to believe this AI person is real, and if they
That's
never
what I'm
never
saying.
post it again, it would affect your life because you really because it really affects your real life. Let's say somebody is waiting for them to post or waiting for her song to drop, and waiting for the album to drop, and it never drops. And that was the thing they were interested in. It was their whole thing. Um, they can really have real feelings about you know um, that the thing they wanted not manifesting now. But it's all made up. It's all made up.
You know, it's funny you say that because I always used to think eventually like that would be the music business.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can either create or reincarnate like artists, especially if I can
Right.
reincarnate them like
Yeah.
digitally,
Like they did. They
like
did that.
that's what I'm saying. There's no need to bring new artists.
Right. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, Tupac dropped like what 2 or 3 albums after like posthumous.
Yeah, but
Uh,
those were records that he recorded. I'm saying if I can recreate this person digitally, like I can
mhm.
make them exist, I can give them conscious and create
Yeah.
an algorithm that can make them rap or
Right.
make
Right.
them
Right.
sing. Like, what would be the point of like I can have Whitney Houston put out 100 albums.
Well, the technology is here now. They have a
Yes.
computer. They have a computer. I don't know what it's called, but it's a computer that they put in all type of images in it, and you can ask the computer to show me an image of someone sitting under a tree reading a book, and it'll furnish that image. Now, it's not a real image. It's not an image that was actually taken, but it's an image that's created. It's never existed, but the computer creates the image. Um, so I mean, the technology is almost here for the actual computer to create things that we want. One being is pretty soon, like it could be music. It could be music where if you just input enough data for the AI to start learning on its own, you can pump out a song. So, um, so yeah. Well, so what I'm
I
saying
think
is we need to make digital us, digital avatars.
I
uh,
mean that's the metaverse.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, you think about it. I mean, we could be avatars. I mean, you're your own avatar. You have your own skin. You can decorate it with tattoos. You can get piercings. You can grow your hair out. You can cut your hair. You can wear different clothing. You are the person you present yourself as, and you are your own avatar. Now we're just making it digital.
What if that's happening already? Like what if like cuz that like
What
really
has
like
it
what it
happened? What
like
no? What if it already has happened?
yeah, like what if it
Right.
already happened to the point where there's someone who that we like know or that is known but
Hmm.
is actually like a digital creation based on a real person.
Mm. So you saying this person's still alive, or they came out like there's like little Mikaila, like they like
No,
they started out that way, or they
what if like real little Mikaela or whatever is like a real person? I'm
uh,
just using her as an example, but
right.
like a real person, and then they create this digital counterpart that has all the talents and everything else that this person is said to have, and then the
Mm.
regular person is like nothing like that.
Like Millie Vanilli type thing.
Yeah, like Millie Vanilli, but like not just music, like just
Yeah.
life. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like their
yeah, yeah.
personality would be different.
Right,
They would
right.
dress different, everything. But you know what I'm saying? They could
Uh,
be homeless. They could be a homeless person, but then they have this digital counterpart that's like, you know, everything
yeah.
else.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's happening in there right now. I mean, you can easily take your camera and go take nice shots in different areas and present to the world who you want them to see, and then you can go home and sleep on an air mattress. Now, there's nothing wrong with sleeping on an air mattress. Air mattresses. I'm sure it's a great product. The air is probably very comfortable. You got to keep waking up in the middle of the night and blowing it up all the time. But
You want to
um,
air Maddie?
yeah, and they actually make them really nice too. I mean, I've seen air mattresses like they got air headboards and everything. So I
I've
mean, you get
unfortunately
an air couch.
I've seen one of those in the most awkward way. But yes, they
Yeah,
do have the headboards.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah, I'm more
well,
interested
yeah,
in that
that's
story.
wild.
Like, I have seen one
Nah, you
in
don't
the
want to
most
know
awkward
that.
way.
You don't want to know that story.
uh,
Um, actually, you do
yeah,
know it, but I'll we can talk about it again. We
that's
can
that's
laugh at it
for
again
that's for
afterwards.
our Patreon supporters.
Yeah,
We'll
Patreon
after this we go.
exclusive.
uh, no, but I
That's
mean,
that
yeah, that's
$20 a month.
Right, right. For
Um,
all the ratchetness, you gotta pay
that's
for that.
crazy
You know,
though.
yeah. My other
That's
avatar gonna put
that's
that out.
that's crazy. I think something like that could be happening now. Cause then like artists are out here getting, especially rap artists, they're out here getting arrested and stuff. Like, what if you didn't have to have that risk?
Right,
Like,
right.
you can just create that, and then like the digital person. Cause do you really have to do concerts, or could you not do a concert in a way that made it look like you were there but you're not?
They did a concert in the metaverse in Fortnite. Who was it? What's the name? That
Oh, Travis
rapper,
Scott. Yeah,
Travis Scott. He did like one of the first. I don't know, if it's the first, but a concert inside the metaverse. It's inside a game, and he's in the game, and he's performing. So yes, that's here. That's here already.
I'm
You can
talking
be
about
a
in real life though. Like, say like somebody would be like, "Yo, I'm going to this so and so concert,"
uh,
and they would be performing, but that person wouldn't necessarily. They may not be there, but like they're there. They may not
you
physically
know,
be there, but like
it'd be like
some
a
version of
hologram
them. Yeah.
or
Even if it looks real though, it could just a version of them is there
right,
actually
right.
doing the show.
That sound like you're a president. You got duplicates of yourself just so you
I
won't get
mean,
assassinated.
Akon talked about how, or T Pain actually talked about how Akon and his brother used to do shows, and so his
Uh,
brother did shows as Akon.
and just split up. I was just thinking. I started
Yeah,
thinking that like, what if you get just multiple yous, people who look like you, and you can be in 5 different places,
yeah.
5 times as much. See, if we think hard enough, we can really scam. We can scam. Like we can, we get some lookalike uses, some
Looking like
lookalike
us.
uses, and we can be pumping out like two or three podcasts a week.
Well,
Yeah, think
maybe
about it.
ultimately, yeah, maybe that might be a thing in
Or
the
it'd be
next 50 years.
a cartoon podcast. It'll be drawn us avatars doing another podcast or
I
something
think
else
ultimately,
interesting that people want to see.
I think ultimately we are kind of describing what the metaverse could be in many
Right. Yeah,
ways.
for sure.
Even though I disagree with like a lot of the hype that exists right now because it's kind of early. But like in
Yeah.
30, 40 years, like maybe we're describing what it actually could be. It could be like, the real doesn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily exist in the same capacity
Right.
because
Right.
it's cheaper
Yeah.
to it'd be cheaper to maintain the digital side of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Less risky for less lawsuits. Um, and it lives forever. Doesn't get canceled or it just apologizes quickly, like Beyonce did, and changed her lyric. That was wild. I mean, this is
Man,
wild.
what was that about? I don't really know what that was. I don't know what none of that is
Uh,
about. Like what was that about?
she basically said um, she used a word in the in the context that she used it. So it was like I don't know. I guess I don't know if black people say it, but it's a slang word, spaz out. So it's
Hmm.
like go hard or go dummy if from the up north. All these
Yeah.
type of words, and I guess the word is also a negative word for the ableist community. Um, spaz, I guess, is a slur word, I guess, or the S word, I guess. I don't know what we say. What do you say? But it's just very interesting how um, you know for one, using words, the English language, it's meant to use words in the context you use them. So if you say a word and it's used properly in the way you used it, that's what the word is. Yeah, I don't think you should have to change that word. But anyway, in her song, I haven't listened to the album, but she said the word, and that community rised up and said you can't say that word. And I guess Lizzo had the same issue with saying it in one of her songs. I'm not sure what the context was. I'm almost sure she didn't slur a community.
Hmm.
But I mean, what do you think? What happens when if you say things without a certain intent, but yet a community tells you that you can't say that, and you have to issue an apology or walk back your words or change your album or delete your episode. Um, What do you do to that? I mean, do you play
I
both
think
sides and bend the knee, or do you say, look, I use it in the contents I meant it, I didn't mean it in that way, in the way you thought? um I mean, what do you say? So
I think it would depend on your position because if somebody said that to me, like if that were if that was me in her shoes, or not even in her shoes, if somebody just said that to me, like they said, "Oh, you said this word in your podcast, can you change it or can you bleep it?" I'd just be like, "Oh, my bad," but that's not what
mhm,
we meant. But I wouldn't. I don't think I would change it. But I don't have to change
yeah,
it. What are you gonna do? Fire me? Like
yeah, she deleted
that?
it
But that's what I'm saying. So
out her
you didn't. So
song, like
so
re-recorded or whatever.
somebody, what is the consequence that would lead someone who's supposed to be like hip hop royalty, queen bee,
Hmm.
billionaire bee, all that kind of stuff? What would make someone in her position change that?
The actualization that she ain't that. Because if you are big shit and you the top of everything and everybody has to bend the knee to you, and something like that comes out and you bend the knee to them and apologize and withdraw, you're not what you thought you were. You're not what you presented yourself as. In other words, um, you feel like that these people can take something from you, or or fold up your whole business and what you got going. So my thing is, what point do you be your authentic self and not pick a side and try to pick this censorish like bullshit and try to play both sides and keeping everybody happy? At one point, it's like, who are you? Who are you? I mean, you could easily just be little Mikaila at this point. You're an
That's what I'm saying.
AI. You're not a real person. And I think this is the difference between, we're going to notice the difference between an AI that's actually manufactured in a lab and one that someone manufactured themselves as. And Beyonce can easily be an AI, a real AI, because you don't really have an opinion either way. It's a conglomerate, right? You're a product. You're not a person. And I think that's dangerous for real human beings to start moving in that way, because who is anybody? You know, how do
Well,
you
I mean,
know
if you
you're
if
speaking to a
you
real person, not AI people?
if you exist in if you exist and operate, in popular culture, then if that's the thing to do amongst popular culture, then I guess you'll follow suit. But I don't think anyone could, like, if you didn't say anything derogatory, I don't think anyone could make me like do something, like,
And
especially not like that. No.
you think about the power play for somebody who says, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't walk that way, when that wasn't your intention. Let's say I'm at um, uh, a reenactment, you know, of the South, right? And
Hmm.
there's slave shacks, there's slaves, there's a plantation, and I go to this place, and now I hear the slaves being called niggas and niggers and hard ers and all type of stuff.
Hmm.
Who am I, the person, to be like, you can't say that word when you use it in the context it's meant, right? In a historical context. Now, I'm not saying that um, you use it all willy nilly, and I'm sure people do in their personal life. But who am I to
Of
walk
course
up
they
on them and
do.
say, yes, that's why they love that word. But it's just like, if things are said in the context they're meant to be used, who are you to say now you can't say that? And this doesn't just go to like music; it was in books too. Like, um, what is it? Tom Sawyer, that book
Yeah,
where they
I
said
remember reading that
they said
in
nigga all the
school.
time.
Yeah.
Now they're made to take the word out. Now this is historical context. Somebody wrote it that way, similar to Beyonce or whoever the writers are. They wrote it that way, and now they have to delete it out. So at what point are we just going to just go keep going back and just washing everything clean based on today's standards and someone's sensibilities to say, I don't like that, doesn't make me feel good? Um, I think people have to just stop thinking that the world has to please them. I'm not pleased with this. Therefore, this is unpleasant for me. We talked about this weekend. That's why he laughing.
Yeah.
This is
tired of tired of pleasing people.
it's like I am pleasing to you. Like that word is not pleasing to me. Therefore, you have to roll it back. So I'm now pleased. I don't know how at what point do
That's
we
just
stop whitewash or washing these things and making them
that's just the world. Like I'll come out and be 100% honest and say I don't care about none of that.
done? You
I
probably not a
don't.
person
And
to be like, I
everybody
need you to act in this and behave in this way.
everybody is not. You're not gonna get me off my square by using a word. I'll laugh
Mm,
at you if somebody like not to me. Now it'd be different if somebody says something to like my daughter, or or my woman or something. That's different than like to me. But when I hear people like that, or when I hear things like that, that kind of stuff doesn't really, because there's so many other things I need to worry about in my own, like, just my own personal life. Why would I
mm,
think about erasing something that happened, you know, hundreds of years ago, and acting like it doesn't exist today? Of course, it exists today. Why
yeah,
doesn't it exist today? Because they said so.
it. You know why? It's positioning. It's positioning. Everyone is fighting for position and power. And if I'm I mean, it could be anybody. It can be anything. I was trying to come up with an example that probably doesn't already exist. Because I was going to say,
Well,
if I'm really for water bottles, and that's really a thing, that's really a community who says I'm against water bottles. And if you use water bottles, they will cancel you, right? Because you're being unkind to the environment. But there's a group and there's a group of people for everything.
mm-hmm.
So
Well,
if
let me. So before you finish, because I can't remember if you were there or not. Were
mm,
you there when we went to Victoria Gardens the weekend it opened?
yep, no, I didn't go, but I
Okay,
remember you and
so
I think Joey went, I think, and a
we
few other
all went.
people. Yeah, I remember.
So there's a very popular mall. It's like the only mall here outside of Ontario Mills in Rancho Cucamonga called Victoria Gardens. And it's supposed to be
Hmm.
this nice place. And we went there the weekend it opened. It was me
What year was
and a
that?
handful. We were in high school, so like
Mm,
2004 maybe.
okay.
And and we were escorted back to our vehicles because we were in groups larger than 3. This is in
Yeah.
2004. Now, at
What
the
was your
same
group made of?
time, of that, we already know everybody in the group looked like us.
Yeah, black people.
Um,
There's black people in the group. There's
now,
three black people in the group. Three
now,
more than three black people in the group.
there were other groups of people there doing a whole lot worse than we were doing. They were skateboarding and stuff.
Right.
Like it was wild because they were like grinding on the park benches, and it was like 5 of them. Like, you know what I mean? And now I
Wow.
gotta count. Now you're
Yeah.
making me count other people. Like, yo, look at those
In
5
groups.
dudes over there. Yeah.
Yeah. As you being walked
So
out and walked to your
now
car.
we're being police escorted. We're teenagers.
Hmm.
We're being police escorted by at least, and this is no exaggeration, at least 30 officers.
What? I didn't know that many.
Yes, at least 30. Because
Yeah.
what happened was we actually split up, right? Because it was us, and then there was a few of us who also went. Um, a few people who we went to school with who ended up just being there coincidentally, and so naturally it's like, oh hey, what's up?
Right.
So we were split up in 2 groups because they let us know like it's too much of us. So
That's wild.
we were split
Let,
up
let's
in
let's
like groups
let's
of.
let preference it with the culture was in high school going to the mall in groups, going to shop, going to talk to girls,
Going
holler and
anywhere,
spit, going to holler and spit, as we used to say back then.
going
All right, go
anywhere,
ahead.
Um, So yeah, so we ended up we're in groups of like 4 or 5, like
Mm-hmm.
because we can't be together. So it was like, okay, y'all go this way, we go this way. We still here, but we're not together. And so
It's
every
crazy.
if you know how Victoria Gardens is,
It's
you
an
know,
outdoor mall.
yeah, and
It's
so
not
it's
an
like different
indoor mall.
streets. So
Yeah.
every street that we turned on, that we walked to, there were more officers
Mm-hmm.
because they were following us at first. It wasn't just like it wasn't. They didn't come and say go to your car. They were actually following us on like their segways and stuff until it
Mm.
got to the point where it was a legitimate collection of about 30 to 40 officers, and they're like,
Wow.
"Let's go. We're gonna walk you to your car."
So that's that's premeditated to have that many officers there at that the grand opening of a mall. So I
Now,
believe that
if but the
they
funny thing,
that was the intention.
it was. But the
And
funny thing
and
is, if something was actually happening at that point in time, like if something was actually being stolen or whatever was going on, they
right,
wouldn't even know because
right,
they were
yeah.
following us.
I would just like to be in those meetings where they said, "This is the plan for this grand opening." Now you know how the Mills is, Ontario Mills. We don't want a certain type of person here. No black teens, no. And you know why I think that had to be in those meetings because that's what it is now. That's not a place where a traditional place that black people shop, just based on the, the stores that's there.
Hmm.
I remember we used to go to, I mean, back then shoe stores really big in the shoes, and they didn't have a lot of those. I mean, traditional stores that we would go to, and yeah, I could see how that was on purpose, 100% on purpose. Like, no, we're not gonna have that here. These type of people at this mall. Um, and I mean, this is probably like 10 minutes away from Ontario Mill, so it's not like it's super far. Everyone shopped at the same mall. It was one mall, so it made sense to one large mall besides the Carousel, which is way in San Bernardino. It was no, it was already desolate and going down at that time. So you had Ontario Mills, and then you had um, the new mall that everybody's going to go to, and I think that was on purpose.
Of course,
Um,
it's Rancho Cucamonga. Of course, it's on purpose. But the reason
yeah.
the reason why I'm saying that is because this is why when this is why I say I'll laugh at stuff like that because there's been instances that actually happened like in reality in life that had real implications. Um, Somebody saying a word or acting a certain way or whatever else that gets people upset, I'm not gonna get upset at that
Hmm.
because there are far worse things that could be there. There's other things that this person or these people can do to get me upset, and until they get there, then there's no reason to be mad. If
Yeah.
you want to walk around and say whatever you want to say, that's on you. I'm not gonna be the one to do something to you and go to jail,
Right.
but somebody else will. Somebody else might be cool with that.
I mean, what if we started a coalition at that time? I mean, would it be 15 years? A coalition, like, hey, um, for our grievances at that time, we've been 15 years deep, and we would have had multiple members, and we could have demanded that they finally put a Foot Locker in their store, so we can put a Foot Locker at Victoria Gardens, so we can shop.
I don't really like, man. Look, that's not my fight.
Nah,
Like that's
but I
that's not
think
my fight.
to that point, I think so. A lot of people do. If I'm mad about something, it makes sense to make a coalition to fight about it. And when any other outdoor mall goes up across the country and other black teens are harassed, you just send the coalition out, and then you come in power, and then you make your demands, and you say put a Foot Locker in this store also in North Carolina,
That's what we
in
fighting for.
Georgia,
We fighting for Foot Locker. Oh man,
or
this
whatever it is, you know.
nah, that's
But
not my fight,
so
man.
so I understand that all these people, if somebody says something that the coalition does not agree to, that they have their demands, and you have to meet those demands, or else. or else. So I
But
understand. I understand the power play in that.
or else what though? Like I'm the type that's like I want to see what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like
All
you
right.
it can't just be like, oh, you need to change this because it'll make me feel good. Like no, like you know, I just don't. I feel like that all of that is childish. Like even with the ball player who's overseas,
Mm.
who's you know she's
Brittany,
in
Brittany
Brittany
Gardner,
Griner
the Griner.
Griner.
Mm.
Yeah, she just got a 9.5 year sentence for
Yeah,
a
that's
ridiculously small amount
yeah,
of
that's some
THC.
bull. Yeah,
Um, but
that's terrible.
there's a few questions I would like to know that I think will provide full context to that situation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of them is who packed her bag,
Mm-hmm.
right? And secondly, has she been there and been warned before?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody ever brings that up.
Mm-hmm.
Has she been?
Well,
Because she's been there. She's been there at least 7 or 8 seasons. This
mm-hmm.
is not her first time to Russia. This is not a first time thing. So
Mm-hmm.
has she been there and gotten some kind of warning or something?
I don't know. I don't know, but it's kind of like a mute point because um, when somebody gets locked up, I mean, and she's been locked up since February, so that's like 6 months already before even being sentenced
Mm-hmm.
to 9 years. Um, I think at this point, you kind of know it doesn't matter what the story is or what led up to it. It's more so what we're gonna do now. Um,
But I think that's why I think that's important though, because how do you know? How do you know what to do if you don't know the reason why?
mhm. I
Now,
mean,
now
uh,
I'm not saying like I'm not saying it's not sad. Of course, it's sad,
yeah, it's
but
terrible.
there's also a guy who was arrested there last year who's serving 14 years. We
What
don't
was he
nobody
arrested
even knows
for?
his name. The same thing.
That's wild. That's
So
wild. I mean,
I'm just saying like what at what point are we adults? Like at what point do Americans understand that the world isn't America? Like oh she had a doctor's note. You think they care about your doctor?
yeah, yeah,
Like, do you,
yeah. I mean, yeah,
you
you
know
gotta,
you
you do
show
have to be
up.
careful.
Imagine someone during a time of conflict coming from the Middle East and having an illegal substance or an illegal item, but they had a doctor's note.
Trying to come to the U.S.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, it wouldn't have flew. I remember. I remember we traveled to China and we was reading all the rules and what you could and couldn't do. Because this is the Republic of China, like
Yes.
it's very
Yes.
very
You will disappear.
communist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we was very careful on what we could and could not do and what we could bring and that type of thing and if you did, what would happen and all these type of things. And yeah, you have to do your due diligence 100%. But let's fast forward and say, all right, it did. Let's say she did bring it on purpose. Um,
I'm sure she brought it on purpose, but I'm just saying like why why are we surprised? Like like
right.
it's Russia.
I don't know if it's a surprise. I think it's more so um, people are just outraged. They're outraged at what the offense was based on our standards. And I think what you kind of get into based on our standards and how it was carried over there. Also, in the middle of a war, and they kind of think of it as she's a war prisoner now, or prisoner of war. Um, when I thought about it when it first happened, and we kind of talked about this in the last episode about not really having a nation as Black people, and we talked about um, selling in certain Black neighborhoods, and the feeling of selling could be linked to, and this is my thoughts, could be linked to a selling off a piece of your nation, right? Because we don't have a traditional nation as African Americans or Black people in America, right? Because we can't trace our lineage because of chattel slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, my thought is, um, if we had a nation, a strong nation, right, that was preparing and strong enough and trading with different countries and had all these valuable assets, it had a seat at the table. that type of shit wouldn't fly, right? You wouldn't be able to just lock up one of our citizens based on some bullshit. It'll be like, oh, okay, well, we're going to cut off your oil supply, or you're no longer getting shipments of whatever resource we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pull back funding. We're going to do. You basically have you're playing from a position of strength, and now we just play on positions of please do this for me because it's the right thing to do. And I don't know if you know history like I know history, that just doesn't happen like that. There's a gang of things that go down that shouldn't go down based on you know that's not the right thing to do. So
I think that's
I
I think
think that's
that's
what it
more
is.
so. I think that's more so the temperament within our nation versus how our nation handles business. You know, globally. I
You
think
saying
I think that's
America?
just yeah. I think that's just the temperament in within America. But I don't think. Well, it's not. I don't think. I know America doesn't do business like that. We just bombed somebody the other day.
The business like what?
We don't do business like, oh, please do this for me.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
don't
What?
we
Yeah.
don't do business with other nations that way. Is what I'm
No,
saying.
no, no, no. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, 100%. And I'm saying if you don't have a nation, you can't do business at all. You can't make demands. It's like what you gonna do? And then I mean, you're an easy target in these different countries because, especially if you come from America, and then they know exactly how you treat you in America as a black person or Hispanic person or a person of color in general. See,
Hmm.
because other countries aren't dumb. They know their history and they know the world's history. I think America's the only people who don't know their own history or other nations' history. So they can play that card and say, I don't know how you get treated over there. I can do this to you, and they're not gonna do nothing. They're gonna ask me to. They're gonna ask nicely, and when I don't do it, still, I'm gonna ask for the boatload, and then I'll go ahead
And
and I'll go ahead
what's
and relent.
funny is though, I don't even think this is. I don't even. I know people will make it that, but I don't even think it's a racial issue because again, somebody was locked up for the same thing a year before, and
What
he's serving 14 years.
you know, a country that's from?
He's from America. He worked at the embassy
Yeah,
in Russia, and he had a doctor's note for marijuana, and he's serving 14 years hard labor. His name is Mark Fogel or something like that.
that's the CIA guy, or that
No,
it's a
no,
whole different separate
that's
person.
that's a totally different person.
Yeah, that's wild.
And there's other people
Yeah,
who are in Russia who are dealing like this is not. I'm not saying it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be sad. You shouldn't be mad. You should want her to be. Yes, she should be home, but at the same time, like Russia is not like these other countries are not America. So what if weed isn't illegal here? There's people who are serving life sentences for marijuana in America.
yeah, yeah. That all has to be. A lot of that has to be overturned.
like,
A lot of that has to be overturned based on. That's just terrible.
like
You can
I,
you
I I
can
understand it's sad, but it's like what is the out like what is it for? What is the outrage
uh
actually for? Because I be
if
wanting to be mad too. I be wanting
if
to be a
I
part of everything, but I can't because I always like, what does this mean?
if I really put my thinking cap on and let's say it could still be a racial issue because it could be a talking point for the next election, right? If you want to get the black vote, you better get our black sister out of jail. We're gonna remember what you did in this time. Um, Getting out. I'm assuming the other guy was white. I don't know what was he white?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if you get any voter base from getting a white person out of jail out of Russia, based on the same charges. So
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
see, in America, everything is political. Everything is made. The Democratic Party is also a coalition. Republican Party is also a coalition, and whatever you can do to gain more power, you'll do to secure the vote. I mean, I think they're
So
gonna.
you, so we waiting on
It's
we
just
waiting
it's
on
a
Joe to go ahead and put his Terminator glasses on and talk about how he's gonna go get her. Did you see him? Did you see him do
I
the,
mean, you
the
got two
PPP
two
loan
years.
thing? Did you see him do that?
What do you do?
He they had a he announced the new like the signing of this new bill to basically pursue people who've committed PPP loan fraud.
He
You didn't
put
see
what
that?
together?
It's a it they I don't know if he signed it or not because I only saw a clip. But
Uh,
there's a bill that basically talks about how they will pursue people who have committed like loan fraud or governmental fraud,
okay.
whatever it ends up being.
Okay.
People
Yeah.
who stole money.
I think I did see that. They put like a whole um, group together that's gonna do
Did you
that.
see the? Did you see the? No, this is recent. This just happened. Like
No, I didn't see that.
He came out with a video of him
Mm-hmm.
talking at the
Mm-hmm.
podium, and he
Uh-huh.
had his shades. He had his shades on, right?
And he's like, "We gonna get you.
And
We coming
that's
for you. We
literally
gonna
that is
you ain't gonna
that's
get he
literally
ain't
what he
gonna you gonna get away with that around here. We don't play that."
That's exactly what he said. He said, if you stole that money, we are
Right,
coming to get you.
we coming to get you. I
And
mean,
they
his generation is big on cowboys and Indians. Whereas we're gonna get you, or cops and robbers, that type of thing. Um, and they're for sure big on the position of we're gonna get you. We're tough on crime. You ain't gonna get away with
well
this, bub.
he wrote the 94 crime bill. I mean, they're like the all-stars of people going to jail. So
You're not gonna
I
get away
believe
with this,
him.
bub.
And I think they extended the statute of limitations too to like 10 years or something like that, or 20 years. I don't
For
know.
what?
The statute of limitations, like for that
For what?
crime specifically,
Which crime?
like the
The
PPP
PPP?
fraud.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We can really take our time and figure out who owes.
Yeah, so people
Yeah.
are going to people will start getting arrested like 5 years from now for something they did 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. That's um if I was into disaster capitalism, you should be looking into jail stocks, because this is another
Right.
round. This is another round of putting
Well,
multiple people in jail.
you can't do that no more. But I'm sure there's
Are
some
they all private now?
developer or somebody. Well, no, like it belongs to. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, like because this is
Yeah.
already a conspiracy show. We talked about AI and people not being real.
No, this is real.
Uh,
This is
you
real. All
know,
these things is real. I mean,
it's
what?
the conspiracy show.
Look, what is real? What is real? I mean, people
But
seeing us online. Hey, they ain't seen us in person. We could be
speaking,
AI.
speaking of that, because this is So what I was going to tell you earlier, but this is perfect timing because yes, this is real. What I'm about to say. So
This is all real.
there's a company that trades on the stock exchange, right? There's a $3 billion company. First of all, before I go any further, I would just like to let you know that you, sir, are a billionaire.
Cool. I don't feel no different.
You are a billionaire, and I'll explain why.
All right.
There's a company that trades on the stock exchange at a $3 billion market cap, meaning if you wanted to buy all the shares of this company right now, it would cost you about $3 billion.
Mm-hmm.
This company just reported earnings. And during that earnings call where they went through their financials and everything, they reported top line revenue. So that means money that came in before you even took any expenses out. That's revenue, right? Before taxes, interest, everything, right?
It's gross.
This is revenue, gross revenue. They reported revenue of $10,000.
What? That is what?
Yeah, man.
He's really just making things up.
Yes, that's why we gotta go public.
He's making things up.
Now, this company's been around for a long time. This is not.
That's how
This
I
is
can
not
be a
like.
billionaire. What company is that? So the people can go look it up.
So it's a car. It's a car company. I don't know if you might know. It's Fisker. You ever heard of Fisker?
Yeah, they do. What do
Yeah.
they do? Is it camping
It's
gear?
like an electric car.
Oh, Fisker.
No, Fisker.
Okay.
It's a car company.
You just say it was a car
Yeah.
company. I'm like, do they sell
Yeah,
camp
like-
grills? Okay. Yeah. I remember. They were one. They were one of the first ones that came out.
Yeah,
Didn't
Fisker,
like
and then
Elon Musk
they
take a lot of their technology and use it? I thought
I
he.
don't know. I don't even
Yeah,
know. I
I
just know
don't know.
they've been around for a long time. They rebranded to Karma because that was the name of their car. It was the Fisker Karma, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just rebranded to Karma, and now they're
Mm,
back to Fisker.
okay. And they
And
made
so
ten
every
thousand.
year, it was like a running joke for like
The
5 years,
CEO
like
just throw that
because
in the bank. Like we can't say zero. We look real crazy.
they took probably some reservations for a car that'll never come out, but
Uh, doing the Elon move.
um, yeah, but $10,000, man.
Yeah, that is
So that
wild.
people of America and institutions have given these people $3 billion of their money for shares in this company that produced $10,000.
So what do you do then? What's the plan after that?
Nothing. There's nothing you could like. What do you mean? Like there's
You
nothing to
just
do.
look at him and say, "Ha ha."
Well, I'm not a
You like
shareholder, but
suckers.
if you're
How do
someone, well, no,
how do you
because
how
that's
do
not
they
uncommon.
explain themselves? How do
That's
they
not it's
explain themselves? They
that's
they
not
don't.
uncommon.
Is it common practice just to be like, oh well,
Yeah, because companies don't like a lot of companies don't make any money at all. Tesla didn't make any money until like a year ago or 2 years ago.
mm,
Like they
okay,
need the money to continue to grow, right?
yeah,
But this is a company that's been operating for a very long time,
mm,
and to see a $3 billion company say, "Oh, we had gross revenue of $10,000," it's kind of like
yeah, that's
that's
wild. That's
that's
wild.
wild.
So how do we go public?
Well, we can do a direct listing. Um, I mean, first we'd have to have an income producing income producing business with some level of revenue predictability, and we can either do a direct listing or after a couple rounds of seed funding, we go to a bank and they
Hmm.
give us a check.
Okay, all right. So yeah,
It's actually it's not that difficult. Like I
twenty
talked to a
twenty
guy
four.
well, it depends, but I talked to a guy who was the CEO. He didn't tell me the company probably because he probably didn't want to tell me the name of the company, but he's friends with someone that Vita knows,
Mm-hmm.
and we were at his house. I think I was telling you we were at his house in Mammoth,
Mm-hmm.
and his company does like some type of it's software, some type of app to where you can watch things simultaneously with
Mm-hmm.
large groups of people. So they did
Mm-hmm.
the Netflix concert, the Live from the Underground with Doritos. His company
Mm.
actually did like provided the platform for that to exist, to where they can host tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people to watch like a concert together.
Mm. I was just
Um,
talking to okay, it's a concert, but I was talking to Mike Hill, and he was saying that he was doing that with a few friends, like getting together and watching a movie on an app. On he didn't say what the app was, but there was several different apps out. I wonder if it's the
mhm.
same. Seven
It
different apps
might
you can
be.
get on with like your friends and watch a movie and comment and that type of thing.
It
So
might be.
something like that.
It might be the same app, but
Yeah.
I'm not. He didn't tell me,
Right.
and but he was we were just kind of talking about what was going on, and he was telling me how like this was his last chance to to sell the business basically, right?
Right.
Because he was running out of money,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, he left his other job to take a CEO job, which people
Mm-hmm.
don't realize that CEO is a job. But he
Yeah.
left his other job to go take a CEO job, and because where he was at, which was a large streaming service, like he was never going to get that shot basically over there.
Mm. Okay.
So he left there to go and get his shot with a startup. So he's been
Mm-hmm.
working at that startup, and they always, every time they got close to getting any funding, like something came up, and so this was like his last chance to, hey, we have a viable product,
Right. Right.
all that kind of stuff, and I think the servers overloaded and shut down,
Mm.
so like it didn't work. right?
Right,
So
right. It was like their
so
last
he's like,
run.
yeah. So and now because the money's dried up, like there's still money there, but it's not as much as it was. Like I was reading an article the other day about the difference in IPO like proceeds
Mm-hmm.
from this year and like during 2020 and 2021 or something like that. And in those 2 years, it was like $57 billion in proceeds that came from IPO sales,
Okay.
whereas like today, it's like 500 million.
All right. Huge drop.
Right. Yeah. So companies aren't going. The money's not there to take these companies public anymore.
Okay.
Right. They're
So,
not. They're not.
so you're saying we don't have a shot?
No, we have a shot if we have a
Okay.
real.
Okay.
If you're someone like Workhorse, or if you're one of these
Mm-hmm.
companies that just it was like a
Work.
scam to begin with,
Yeah.
like then no, it's gonna be difficult for you because the money just
Yeah.
isn't there in the same capacity.
Okay. So we
Um,
can't scam. Okay. No scam
no, we
company.
can't.
All right. Got it.
What if that was our ticker? Scam. SCAM. Um, but
Scam
so
company.
yeah, he talked a lot. It was actually very insightful to
Yeah.
hear from
Yeah.
somebody like in his position to talk about like he's like I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should I quit?
Right. Right.
And the people we were there with, she was like, no, you can't. You can't quit. You can't quit on your
Yeah.
team like that. And I was like, yeah, but I mean that's a real thought.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, and that's probably not the first time he thought that in
No,
in having a business and starting a business. It's multiple times. Like, man, this ain't working. Oh, it is working. This ain't working. It is working. Should I stop? Should I do something else? It's always like that. Um, but the stress and anxiety when you got a lot of money on the line
and he's
and a
older.
lot of
He's
other
he's
people involved too.
I
Like,
think he's in his early 70s.
yeah,
So for him, no, I'm sorry, he's not that old. I'm sorry, I don't want to
right.
do him like that. I think he might be like late 50s, early 60s.
Right. I mean, yeah, those way off.
But I don't know why.
You said it,
I don't
yeah.
know why I just tried to kill him off like on a show or something. Like
You
yeah, he's
basically was
70
like,
years
yeah, he
old.
got he got 10 more good years left.
But he's because he was one of his things was like I don't know if I'll be able to get like another job.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's something to really think about. And his company been in existence what, like a decade or
I don't know if it's been a decade, but they've been around for like
yeah.
a cool minute. You know
I
what I
mean, you
mean?
figure
It's
you start at
just
45, now you're 55, and like you gotta start over again. Yeah, that's wild.
and then it's like, well, who would is because he's thinking like who would hire him?
Yeah,
When they could hire someone 20 years younger than him
yeah.
who can pretty much do a similar job.
And we do definitely have a culture of ageism where it's just like once you reach a certain age, you age out, and you're very, I guess, unuseful to people. Which is why, like, a lot of content I do watch is not a whole lot, but I'm conscious to put some older to look at some older people content. Like, I don't want to
Hmm.
see a whole bunch of me's walking around saying the same thing and having these thoughts based on a series of clips they scroll through, and now that's their new opinion. Um,
I don't really see people our age though. To be honest, I usually see I usually see people younger than us,
yeah,
and maybe that's why like the people who like our show, like the handful of people who like our show,
hmm
maybe that's why they like it because it's like there's nobody really in that. Like there's people who, of course, who are maybe our age, but they're not they're not speaking to some people their age. They're speaking to people younger
yeah,
than them.
yeah. Oh yeah, because they can take advantage of them, possibly.
Yeah,
I know I'm older. I know, and for follow me to glory. Yeah, so that's why I usually I look at, and maybe I've always been drawn to older things anyway. Um, but yeah, I just feel like they have more useful information that's um that's based on actual real life experience and failures over
hmm
decades. So when they telling you something, and of course this has to be somebody who's still not just full of shit throughout the decades, but they're telling you something more valuable that's more rooted in decades of experience. So I like that, and people are quick to throw away people who are 50 in their 50s, mid 50s, 60s, and 70s, um, and just discard them. And it's crazy. It's crazy because they have all the knowledge. You would
Hmm.
think as a coach, and well, we're not that type of culture, but I know like a lot of Asian culture, they're the older community is very revered as people you should listen to and talk to and sit with. But out here, it's just young. Young is a thing. The young is being a thing and being young forever, and um, not having wrinkles and getting your face done so you can keep being young, and you know get ass shots so your ass can be tight still like when you were young. And we have a culture of stay young forever.
I
Um,
mean, that's popular culture. Like right now, anyway. If that's why, like I said earlier, like if you subscribe to that, those will be the things that you'll like. Your life will be made up of that if you subscribe to pop culture. So whatever's happening
yeah,
amongst like society, you'll do the same things. Whether it be like you said, like plastic surgery,
yeah,
or whatever's going on, or if it's buying AMC, because that's what everyone who's in pop culture is doing,
yeah,
regardless of the effects.
yeah. Yeah. So I mean, if you stay here by watching our podcast, Rich by Monday, you can be ensured that we'll age gracefully right in front of you. Um, we won't try to stay young at all.
Nah, man.
But
I look forward to. I like old people.
yeah,
Old people is all they've always been cool, and maybe because we always grew up around, we were always the youngest. But I
yeah,
never really had that issue, like where you can't hang out with them or be around them.
yeah,
Um, but there's so much money in ignorance, and so I think if those things are of importance to you, at least in that way, then that's what you'll kind of subscribe to.
yeah,
You
yeah. I
know,
agree.
you know what I mean. If that's how you make money, or how you would like to make money, or how you would like to live, or how you want your friends to be, then you'll subscribe to that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But me, I'm just trying to be on a boat in Monaco, uh, you know, watching the
yeah,
race, smoking
yeah.
a cigar, and drinking some wine.
All right. Yeah, I'm not mad at that. And the people who will be there will be of that age of because yeah, it's not a young folks doing that. I don't think.
Man,
Have
I
you seen?
went bowling the other day and almost died, bro. Like my knees ain't there no more. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm okay with that. I am okay
You need
with
sitting
we getting
sitting
old.
sports. I need sitting sports. Like, let me sit down and play ping pong.
I need to fish.
Now you will learn to fish. Ah, I gotta fish. I gotta sit and fish.
And play some poker or something.
Right. All sedentary games. What can I do
Hmm.
sitting?
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that. But if you subscribe to popular, and I guess popular culture has such a huge impact on us because there aren't that many of us, so it looks like it has a larger impact on the total
Yeah.
like population. But when you really like get out and talk to people, it's clear that like everybody doesn't live that way, and not in the sense of like they're lying. Just you meet people who are just out here being regular.
In
You
what
know,
way? What do you mean? I think I
like
missed the
they're
beginning
they're
part.
not. No, they're not trying to be that. I think
Oh,
I think
okay.
because
Yeah.
of how much you see it, you think like, oh,
Yeah.
this is something that is abundant, and it
It's
is. But
widespread,
when you
right?
actually, yeah, when you actually get out and meet people, it's like, nah,
Yeah.
this is
The
actually not
internet
that big of a deal.
will skew. The internet will skew everything.
Mhm.
You think you have to be what you scroll through on the internet, and when you get in real life, you see that it's just not like that. It's not like that. But I mean, who are we to know? Because we're just internet people. We're also internet people.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, I don't know if you're real.
I don't know if you. Yes, I mean, I think we're okay now. I think we're good to go.
Yeah, I think we can wrap this up. I mean, this is season 2, episode 2, and
The conspiracy show.
all right. Right. I think yeah, this conspiracy show. I was gonna say I think I'm gonna have a lot of not conspiracies, but a lot of those different thoughts. So on multiple episodes. That's just the place I'm in right now, man. I just
This is where
this
we jump the shark, as
this
they say in show business.
right. This is the place I'm in right now. So welcome to the journey of my new AI reality.
Man, I meant to ask you though. Did you see Nancy Pelosi in Taiwan?
I seen it. I didn't. I seen a clip of it, and I seen people like in outrage. I remember they didn't want her to go, but I didn't get the full story.
Mm. Well, regardless of what the full story is, she's only there for one reason,
What's
and
that?
that's well, she's there because the chip manufacturers that she's invested in are there.
Oh yeah, I remember they had like one third of all the chips or something like that. What's the company name? It was
Well, there's a few.
uh
There's TSM, which is like Taiwan Semiconductors.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because
right.
Taiwan is like growing, I guess, in that industry. I guess it's growing pretty fast out there, which I haven't really paid attention to at all. Um, but they're heavily vested in that sector, and they owned Nvidia, but her husband sold that position at a loss. I think only because
Mm-hmm.
people found out that they had recently taken that position before pushing a bill through that would greatly impact the
Mm-hmm.
value of that position. Um, but
I think well, it could be for political reasons why they also don't want her there because
no, it
um,
is. It is for political
Taiwan,
reasons.
Taiwan, um, I believe the Republic of China still believes that Taiwan is part of China, and is Taiwan is trying to they've been trying to make their own. They are their own country, but China believes that they aren't. They believe it's also part of China. So there's been like a huge war really going on for Taiwan citizens to be separate from China, and China's still trying to absorb them.
Yeah, that's why they don't want the U.S. to
So
interfere.
yeah,
But
so
Nancy's
a
like, I need to
U.S.
go check on my bag.
right, so a U.S. Established person from the U.S. goes over and says, yes, you are a country, basically because you show up, as a diplomat from America, and it basically it established them as what they are. But yeah, that war's been going on a long time. I remember I mean, they tried to absorb Hong Kong. Um, I mean, it's been like probably 10 years with the umbrella protests. I mean, I think they're
Mm-hmm.
still fighting. I haven't checked on it in a while, but China's been trying to absorb Hong Kong for a long time.
Were you
And
guys when you guys were there? Wasn't that happening when you guys were there, or
yeah,
was that after?
yeah, it was happening still.
Uh,
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, that's and I believe it was a few years ago where I don't know what it is, and I don't want to talk on my ass, but it was so many years that Hong Kong was supposed to be their own nation, and then after that year lapsed, let's say it was 99 years, it would go back to China, and basically they was like, I don't want to do that. We're our own
mm-hmm.
nation, we're our own things, our own voting, and all kind of different things. So, but yeah, so I can see why that's also an issue with Nancy going down there. Could it legitimizes Taiwan as their own country?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's wild, man. She had to go. She had to go check on her bag. She had to make sure the money was right.
yeah, I'm not mad at that.
you know. But
I'm not mad at that. Everybody's doing it.
yes.
Everybody
But
checking on
yeah.
your money. All right, well, yeah, good podcast. Good job, us. Good job, us. Also,
Yeah.
want to
Make sure
point
you.
to this
Mhm.
updated, as you can see on my left shoulder, the production as we're really way up
Production.
over here. The production quality is on full tilt. Um, with this blue light radiating from my side here. So yeah, more to come. That's due to our many subscribers and people who bought the merch. So if you go to the website richbymonday.com, we can probably have two lights. They see there's one behind me and my screen. If you buy a sweater or a shirt, maybe Jared can have one in his screen. So um, when you buy things from us, we increase the production value immediately for you. So yeah, so I mean, this is I'm trying to let you know that we're trying to raise money. We're going to give you something for it, but we're also going to give you additional, um, production quality. So here's the two lights. Go to the website,
Yeah, get your merch.
richbymonday.com,
Get your
and shop.
merch.
We have a new shirt, the recession-ish shirt, and the Rich by Monday logo sweaters, black and gray. Um, they're both
Yeah,
on
everything
pre-order
for
right now.
pre-order. Yeah, yeah. The hoodies are the hoodies sold pretty quickly. We ran through those pretty quickly. So, but since there was once people figured that out that they couldn't get them anymore, then the demand skyrocketed. So
Right.
we already have more on the way. So I put up a pre-order link for everyone to go on there, and you can actually pre-order your size. I think for the mediums and the grays, for the mediums and the gray hoodies, they are they are on back order right now. Um, but hopefully we get that resolved soon, and then we'll continue to add more stuff to the shop. So
Yeah. So,
go to
so go shop.
richbymoney.com, get your merch.
Yeah. So we get another light. We're gonna raise money for this second light.
That's the goal. Not to have a whole conference, not to have the
No,
RBM conference.
no, man. Like you're the big thinker. I'm the more rational. What do we need now? We need a second light. We need a second light so we can increase this production value. So if you enjoy the blue light behind me, that matches our logo. Um, you know, donate, and so we can get a second blue light.
Yes.
Then
So
we have two
would you
blue
do?
lights.
Would you? I'm more like in line with doing like a live show. Would you do a live show where you
I
could
don't
like
mind.
interact with the crowd and all that?
Yeah, with the crowd of 10 people, calling everybody out by name. Hey, Jeffrey,
Yeah.
George, Jake,
Well,
Sherelle,
we
thank you
might
for
if
coming.
if we might be able to do that. So I'll put together a deck, um, and if we find like a really good sponsor, we can do it. I have a location for us to do it at
Yeah. Yep. I'm
out
with that
here
though.
in a theater. So, um, but it would just be like it would have to make sense to like for us to do it there.
Right.
So I'll look into that because I think we could ultimately end up doing something like that sometime this year.
Right. Yep. I'm with it.
Um,
I'm with that.
and maybe that could be a collab. I don't know. So I'll look into that. But uh, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you want to add something to the conversation, go ahead and drop it in the comments. Let the algorithm know you like the show, so we keep popping up in the searches. Go to richbymoney.com. Go get your merch. Buy a shirt. Buy a sweater. Um, buy paper clips when I put them up. Buy
Yeah.
whatever. Right.
Pins.
Um, and yeah, we'll see y'all next week.
Yep. You're welcome.